essays, I started giving them model answers. And I asked them, don't write an essay on your own, simply start copying the essays. Now, how does it help? If I ask you to write an essay, you will write something on your own. I will evaluate it. I will tell that these 10 errors are there. Then you will send a corrected copy to me. I will again evaluate. I'll tell these 3 errors are there. Then you will again do it. See how many iterations there are, and you are just going by what you know. Where is the opportunity to learn in this case? So if you write an essay completely on your own, or if you write a letter completely on your own, the learning cycle becomes very long, isn't it? Because your base is what you know. Where is my opportunity to teach you something if I ask you to write an essay? So an ideal way to learn writing, which I have discovered during these years, is to follow some models. So if you have got 10, 15 models there, you get a topic, you write a rough draft on that. Don't write the whole essay. In 5 minutes, write a rough draft. Like, some people say they should live in an apartment, others say they should live in a house, and discuss both views, give your opinion. So if this is a simple topic, these are the 4 things I'm going to write. Some people say that countries should display the artifacts of their native history. Some people say that it should show, the essay that you have seen, many of you might have written in last 2 3 days this topic. Yeah. So instead of you writing a fresh essay, what if I give you answers to, let's say, 15 essays of different types, and you simply rewrite it? You know, you might have, many of you might be working in some IT companies or BPO companies. There is a concept of shadowing. Have you seen this? Have you heard of shadowing or internship? Chartered accountants and all of them do internship. What is that? You have you heard of it? Are you able to relate to what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is sort of internship in writing. Before I've given you a chance to do internship, if I ask you to perform and go directly to the clients and meet and present your best case, I don't think I would be doing justice to you. Is that right? So I came up with this concept of steal like an artist, which is like, that's what learning is all about, isn't it? We have to learn from some model. If we do not follow a model and we try to just refine what we already know, it's like reinventing the wheel, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel to become a very good writer. So what I discovered is this: sometimes people with very mediocre English, those who come from very basic English background, or those who studied in vernacular languages, started getting very good marks in writing. And those who were very good at English started losing marks, started not reaching the benchmark. And I found that it's not about your English. Good English is not good enough to score high marks in writing. I'm not saying good English is not good. I'm saying good English is not good enough. Over and above good English, you also need to meet those 4 specific criteria mentioned by British Council or IDP. And if you meet that, even with mediocre English, and yeah, yeah, with basic understanding of the test structure, you score the desired marks. Number one. Number two, you get there very fast. And number three, the journey is more enjoyable. Rather than somebody picking you on your mistakes, you are on a guided path. You've got your Google auntie there with you. You use Google Map to reach from point A to point B. So if there is a Google Map, you are driving, you are doing everything. Google Map is just telling you the directions, isn't it? You still have to know good driving, even if you have got a Google Map there with you, right? But you have to have a Google Map if you are going to a new place. It won't make sense to just, you know, throw you on the ground and tell you that, okay, fine, go to whatever Srinagar from Delhi without a Google Map. Does it make sense? I would like to know your insights. What do you think about this? My suggestion to you to improve your writing is this: rather than writing essays on your own. How about writing 10 model answers, considering all the points which are used by evaluators? I've sent you the evaluation criteria. How many of you got a chance to go through the videos I sent? Even if you have not, just go to YouTube, write down writing evaluation criteria. When you get to understand, okay, these are the 4 points. And if you read the essays, the model answers which touch those points or which fulfill the criteria, you would be there, isn't it? Oh yeah. So this is the question. Google is good as good as C, right? We don't know what is there. So if I give you those samples, how about that? If I give you samples which you are supposed to rewrite, it's not something which you will take out from Google, but from an authentic source. And if you rewrite those essays, would it not be a great idea? So your task is done. All of you are 9 bands at writing. So writing is done. See, the first step is to get at least excited by the path. At least your journey is there. This milestone stone can be achieved. Can you see this? I want you to just close your eyes for 30 seconds and see yourself reading some samples and rewriting them. First you are analyzing a topic, you have written a draft, then you read a model answer, you take out some good words and phrases from it. Oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. This person has written it very precisely. Yeah, this makes sense. And you simply read it 4 5 times, and if you are comfortable, just rewrite it or simply copy it. 4 5 lines, read one paragraph, write it, read the next paragraph, write it. Like this you do 10 essays. Do you need anything else?
I have a question here, Rajiv.
Sir,
Yes, yes,
I have a question.
yes. Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Basically, this will help us to improve the structure about what we think and how we write.
Yeah.
But during the exam, the ideation part,
Hmm.
I think that's one of the most important part as well. And that's probably where my question lies.
Hmm.
How to improve the idea or the ideation or the thought process around this essay or letter?
Yeah, Utkarsh, I understand your question, and that's a very valid question. But then look at the topics. They would never ask you a topic which is very complex. They are very, very day-to-day topics. Like, should we stay in a, should we study in a mixed school or in a single gender school? Why is it that the population of big cities is rising, and what can be done to improve infrastructure? Aren't the topics very generic? So as far as the topic themselves are concerned, and this is one particular problem I also used to struggle with. I used to think that even if the topic is very generic, I have to present a very in-depth analysis of it. It should sound very intelligent, you know
True. Absolutely.
and this is one myth of all the people who come from this kind of background where they have studied a lot. They want their own mind doesn't get fascinated by something which is below standard than their own standards of argument and understanding. But what
Absolutely.
we have to realize is this is an English test. More important than depth of analysis is how you present your ideas in a very simple way. You're not supposed to be a specialist or a social, I mean, you're not supposed to be a doctor if you're talking about some medical subject. You're not supposed to be a leader if you're talking about leadership. You can give very day-to-day examples, and you can write in a very simple way. So don't get carried away by your own intelligence or by the simplicity of the subject. If the topic is simple, write simple answer. Present it in a very, very easy way. Make it very direct. So I think ideation would be taken care of. It's not, I mean, we try to unnecessarily complicate the issue, is what I think. It's already so simple. So why do we complicate it? How do you know which topic we will get? I haven't learned one thing, that stick to two, three ideas and develop them only. So let's answer one by one. So how do you know which topic you will get? You won't know which topic you would get. So what if we divide the topics in some categories? Like take one side and argue about it. This is one category of essays. Discuss both views and give your opinion. This is second category of the essay. Just 1 minute, huh? Don't worry. There was cat in my room. I'm sorry. Sorry. So the kids got scared. I don't know why. When we were kids, we used to enjoy having cats at home, isn't it? Anyways, so the point is, I think what you are saying is to a certain extent um, more than reality. It's just a myth and perception. What if you read 10? So you guys have all done graduation, post graduation, studied a lot. If I give you something of 100 pages, how much time would you take to read it? मैंने अभी खोला था. My class is going on. So, yeah. How much time will you take to read 100 topics? Tell me. If you simply have to read it. 2 days? 3 days? A week's time? So, if you read these essays, which are written with a lot of care with regard to IELTS, you not just understand the topics, you also understand the right way of presenting it. Yes or no? Okay, this is what you are supposed to write a paragraph. Okay, so along with the essays, if I also give you the thought process behind writing the essays, the steps of writing it, like I call it as 4 Ps: prompt, plan, produce, and proofread. So if I tell you that how to understand the prompt, how to plan it, how to produce it, how to proofread it. So if I give you a little bit of backstory also behind writing the essays, how would that be? So you've got essays, you have got why essay is written like that, and then you write the essay. How about that?
That sounds good, sir.
Yeah. So this is what
When I have a question, sir.
go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. So when I wrote it first time, I got six in writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I practiced for another 6 months. I
Mm-hmm.
also followed some modules and all,
Mm-hmm.
but then I only ended up getting 6.5. And when I talked to quite many students who are working on IELTS or still working, I hear that most of them are just landing up on either 6 or 6.5. I
Yes.
never have heard of anyone in my proximity who has scored 7 as of now. So we at times fail to understand what is it that they are looking for, you know. So as you were rightly saying that most of us are graduates or postgraduates and we are good in English,
Yeah.
but when we write it down, we
Yeah.
try our best. We are following some modules as well, but I don't know. I mean, it is just 6.5 maybe at the max.
So
So I fail to understand sometimes.
I think there are two reasons. One, good, like extremely good English becomes an impediment to reasonably good English. When you are at a very high level and when you want to showcase a very high level in 40 minutes time, that becomes a challenge. So like you might have prepared for your MBA entrance, you might have developed strong word, you might have learned vocabulary, antonyms, synonyms, so on and so forth. And all that previous preparation uh, seems like a foundation for IELTS to you. So you think that you would use those words which you used there or which you learned there. Now the structure is entirely different. Here you have got just 40 minutes to showcase your writing, right? So you cannot really afford to write an exemplary piece. It is your first draft. And you have to go with that kind of preparation wherein you can write the whole thing maybe in 30 minutes so that you get 10 minutes to just make sure that it is with it matches the criteria. I think that becomes a problem. So it's not about how much time you spend, it's not about how deeply you prepare or how sincerely, how diligently you work on writing. It's about, are you going there with the right mindset? Have you really practiced in the right direction? Simple, it's very simple. If the models that you have been following are the ones which are not at 7.5 or 8 levels, whatever, from wherever you get your coaching or training, or let's say you take some Google essays and prepare them, if they are not at that level, now again, don't get me wrong, that level doesn't mean difficult English, but they are not there. That's it. With regard to IELTS, they are not there, and you prepare using them. So you either go for an overkill or you end up writing something which is substandard. And in both cases, you end up getting somewhere around 6, 6.5. Because your English is good enough to express your ideas, but on one or two criteria, which are the criteria of IELTS, you lack.
So, sir, are you going to give us some examples wherein all of these essays stand for band 9? Is it like that you're saying?
Yes. So I would not say band 9 or anything of that sort, but with regard to all the 4 sections of evaluation, they are at an optimum level. So, since it is subjective, nobody can say it is a 9 bands essay for sure. Two people might have different opinion about those essays, right? The opinions might differ, but they are definitely written with the aspect of IELTS in mind, not the subject or the topic in mind. The whole thing changes. If I'm writing it just for a newspaper, it would be a different perspective. But if I'm writing for IELTS, I need to have very clear uh, idea of how is it going to get evaluated. I need to think like an examiner. So with that goal, those essays are written. And if I give you those, and if you follow them, it becomes a very easy roadmap for you, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Sounds good for me.
So this
Thank
is what
you.
is the plan. I want to make it very simple. I do not really want you to give 10,000 phrases and talk about grammar, all those things, because they come to you very implicitly. When you follow the right model, you learn so many things by itself without even telling me. You would be using some complex words, some long sentences, short sentences, which means compound and complex sentences, appropriate vocabulary, structuring your paragraphs in a certain way. And since you know the background story, you would know why are you doing what you are doing. Yeah, I'm going to send that. That's right. That's the very purpose I wanted. So I'm going to send those essays to you for sure. But yes, but you should be convinced. See, it's important that you need to be having absolute clarity about why you are doing what you are doing, so that you do it with full confidence and it yields results to you, isn't it? So that is the reason. All right. Same thing with letters, isn't it? If you simply rewrite a few letters which are written by, I mean, those standard model answers, you get to understand this is how you are supposed to depict your ideas. Correct? Let's come to reading now. So, what is the problem with reading? How many of you are struggling with reading first? Let me understand that first. How many of you have scored less in reading in your previous tests? Or
I have Savi here. I
yes,
have
sir.
scored less.
Sir,
I've
this is
scored less in
Dispal.
reading and listening.
Okay, okay. And have you discovered your area of concern in reading?
Yes,
True, false, not
the
given.
true false not given, and it was name the headings. I
Okay,
did get confused in naming the headings.
all right. Any other problem in reading?
These are the only two problems.
True, false not given, and
I find it like, I cannot manage time
time
Yes, sir.
management.
reading.
All right.
So this is the problem. This is just pulsing. So this is the same problem with me. I cannot manage time when I try to answer the questions. I barely stand up to complete whole of the 40 questions.
Okay. Okay. So time management is a problem. What
Yes,
else?
sir. I would like to tell you one thing that I always try to answer only 30 questions each and every time, 30 or
Oh, okay.
32. I never make it to 40.
I'm promising you, whatever happens, I'll make you get very good marks in reading.
So that would be
Sir, one more
appreciated, sir.
trouble. So one more. So this is Mithun. So another thing like MCQ questions, I'm not able to get the correct
Okay.
answers.
Okay. Anything else? So MCQs, headings, time management, and what else?
Connecting two sentences, half is given the question, half we need to find out from the passage.
Okay, the questions which are scattered, but the answer is not at one place when it is. Who was that? Neha. So
Yes.
Neha seems to have done good practice. You have encountered those kind of questions somewhere. Okay. All right. Any other problem there in reading?
Right, the similar for me, wherein I have to check for the true, false, and not given. So false and not given seems to be a problem for me.
So true, false, not given, headings, MCQs, how to manage time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start with true, false, not given first. All right. Let me ask you a question. Is it good? Should I ask you a question and you would answer that? Just have this answer in your mind, okay? Whether it is true, false, or not given. All right. So today is Holi. My hands are red. I'm carrying a knife in my hand, and there is a murder in my neighbor. The police comes and says that Rajiv Gundal has committed the murder. What would you say? This is true, false, or not given? I don't want you to give the answer, just have this in your mind.
This
So
is
today
been
is Holi.
discussed in the video.
Oh, this is sorry, bad example. Let me give you another example then. Okay, so I think then I would have discussed all the examples there. So the solution is already there then. See, the problem with true, false, not given is not given is considered to be something which is a dreaded thing in our society. Nobody likes to say not given. So for example, let's say, remember the days when you were a kid, you went to an exam, you gave the exam, you came back home, and your parents used to ask, bhaiya tumhara exam kaisa raha? How was your test? If you said it was fantastic, they said, wow, shabash, very good. If you said no, it was not very good, they used to console you. Okay, fine, next time you will do it, there is one more test, it's okay. If you say, I don't know, how was the exam? Do you remember how your parents reacted? So I don't know means who would know? You have done the exam, tell me no. Did you answer all the questions correctly or not? So there is a lot of bias towards clarity. We all want absolute clarity in whatever we do. And we sort of miss that there are so many things which are just gray. So in case there is a little evidence, we try to say yes or no to that rather than talking about not given. What I understand for false and not given, if sentence is completely contradictory, then false, otherwise. Yeah, see, look at this. Hetal is again trying to get something very clearly defined. We all want, I mean, there is a bias towards clarity, which is good. But then we have to understand that there are situations which are very unclear. I know, I mean, until unless we have examples of this sort, it won't make sense. I'll give you some exercises today, okay? So this brings me to the next exercise, and I'll tell you what you're going to do now. If you have done this test, the first test of chronobiology, the answers are also there. I want you to go through those answers. See, in these sessions, since we are doing things very fast, I would not be discussing individual questions until and unless you have gone through the videos. I want you to go through the things step by step. So I want you to do the test. I want you to go through the video, and I'm going to give you one more test today. This would be a full 40 questions test, and I'll take out some test which is a little difficult in terms of listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So this would be a level 2 test after you have done the first one, and it would have those questions of true, false, not given, finding headings, those sorts. Probably a shorter test, but yes, it would have this. So we would have some context to talk about. So I'll give this test to you. Tomorrow you are going to do that test, and we will then have a little meaty discussion about it. So today my purpose is to just give you a little bit of what strategies to use. So for true, false, not given, if there is a very clear evidence which shows something to be true, you will say true. If there is a, like for example, if I say today is Sunday, what will you say? True, false, or not given?
False.
False.
Why?
False. Because today is Tuesday.
So in order to tell something as false, what is required?
An evidence?
You need to know what is true. You don't need an evidence, you need a counter evidence. If I say I'm Amitabh Bachchan, what will you say?
False.
False.
But yeah, because you know how does Amitabh Bachchan look like, right? Not given. Who's
Oh my goodness.
so this is what happens, you know. Why is it not given? I mean, is there, don't you know but I ate dal chawal in the afternoon today. See, we have got chawal farms, so we grow rice and we grow dal. So in the afternoon I have eaten dal chawal. I'm a farmer. I have got a farm where we grow rice and dal. So I must have eaten dal chawal in the afternoon today. True, false, not given.
Not given.
Yeah, see. Okay. How many? Okay, fine. You are all inside the room and you cannot see anything outside the room right now, right? If I say it is raining outside in whatever city you are, Delhi, Kolkata, Bangalore, wherever you are, it's raining outside. What will you say? True, false, or not given?
Not given.
Not given.
How can you say false? You will have to say, see, there is no clear evidence. Okay. So wherever you know what is the truth and there is an evidence for it, then only you will say false. If there is a counter evidence, you will say false. But if you don't have clarity, don't make assumptions. Like for example, this raining case, it has to be not given. I told you cannot see outside. You are inside the room right now. So don't go by what you know. I think so. That is one cause of confusion between true, false, and not given. We'll see some questions the next time. I just want to make it a little generic today. Don't want to go into the depth of it. But yes, the thumb rule is if there is a clear evidence about something, tell true, mark it as true. If there is a clear evidence that there is something else which is true. So I'm not Amitabh Bachchan. But if I say I'm Amitabh Bachchan, you're bound to say false. Right? So if there is a clear evidence, you will say true. If there is a clear counter evidence and you know what is the truth, and the truth is counter to what is stated there, you will say it is false. If there is if there is lack of evidence or not conclusive evidence, you will say not given. I don't know whether I've given this example of Sardars also. So in the passage, it is written, all right, even if you know this example, don't speak anything, all right. In the passage, it is written, Sardars are native Indians. Okay, this is written somewhere in the passage. Sardars originated in India. Sardars are native Indians. All right. Are we clear? Sardars are native Indians. This is written in the passage. In true, false, not given, there is a statement which says Sardars are found only in India. In the passage, it is written, Sardars originated, or Sikhs originated in India. Sikhism originated in India. And the statement in the question says, Sardars are found only in India. Sardars are found in Canada also, it should be false, right?
False.
False.
Not given.
False. Yes,
Yeah.
all of you who are saying false are wrong.
Not
See,
given.
this is the problem.
Not given.
It is not given. How do you know? Your universe is that they originated in India. Did they go out of India, or did they not go out of India? You don't know, right? So when you don't know, say don't know. Why do you say false? मैं झूठा कैसे हो गया भाई? तुम्हारे पास कौन सा evidence है? Your general knowledge and common sense is not an evidence. So this is what makes, see, we try to extend our own imagination, and we do not limit ourselves to the evidence given there. That's why we go wrong on that.
Yes, sir. This is the problem, sir.
Sir, I have a
Yes,
request. Can you
yes.
just elaborate that point once? Our common sense and the fact outside in the world.
So the fact
So
which is
how do we
written in the
match
passage, see, you are
match-
bound by the information given in the passage, not by your common sense. Your common sense might say that Sardars are found in Canada also. But where does the passage say that Sardars moved out? The passage simply saying Sardars are native Indians, that they originated in India. Did they go out or they did not go out is not so said. If that is not said, it is only by your extension of imagination that you are making an assumption. An assumption is not an evidence. So you don't know whether they went out, you don't know whether they remained in India. What would you say? Evidence is not conclusive. There is no evidence. Having no evidence is so. Do I look like a thief? Do I
No.
look like a
False.
thief?
No.
not given?
No. My question is, do I look like a thief? Be honest. Do I look like a thief? Somebody, you just happen to see me and you look at me and somebody asks, this person looks like a thief. Looks like a thief. What will you say?
Not given.
Hey, come on. You will say, no, he's a good guy. See, wearing good t-shirt. Acha face. Looks like not a thief. Looks like not a thief, correct?
Yes.
I don't look like a thief, right? See, there is an evidence
But
outside.
we
There is
can
lightning
say
there.
that. I mean, but
I do not look like a thief, right?
yes.
But
I mean,
but let's say
yes.
somebody wants a conclusive statement. Is Rajiv Gondal a thief or not? My looks cannot decide the reality, right? I might be a thief, right? What we do? We go by looks. So if the evidence is not conclusive, please say not given. Give respect to your opinions that, okay, fine, this person does not look like a thief. It's just that he doesn't resemble like a thief, or he is not a copy of a thief, whatever perception of thief you have. That does not qualify you to say conclusively whether I am a thief or not. There's no evidence, yeah. So you will say not given.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yes.
Now, when we are looking for the evidence, so we are looking for the evidence in reality or in the passage.
In the passage.
So the passage is the world of reality for us, not the
Yes.
real sense.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
But now, sir, you have said, do I look like a thief? Then you are just asking us to use our common sense, right, sir? You know, this person doesn't look like a thief.
Yeah, that is correct. So I don't look like a thief. See, but I'm not asking for the answer. I'm just saying I do not look like a thief in general, right? I'm talking about your own worldview. A thief doesn't resemble me. I do not resemble a thief, right? But then this is just a perception. You don't know about my background, right? So I might be a thief. So if there is a question, Rajiv Gondal is a thief, he is a burglar, what will be your answer with whatever you know about me? You will say not
Not given.
given,
Don't
right?
know.
Yeah, that's what. So, there are so many neighbors there. Let's say somebody wears a tie and goes in a Mercedes every day. He lives just next door to you. And somebody comes to your home and he says, he's a smuggler. What do you think? Is he a smuggler or not? What will you say? You'll say, yeah, 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 yeah. How can he live here and have all these things and kind of. So you'll say, not given. I don't know. So, you have to respect your lack of knowledge. We don't respect our own lack of knowledge. That's where we extend not given to a true or a false. We don't know whether Sardars went out. We don't know whether Sardars remained in India. So whether they are found outside India or not is out of my purview. I don't know. In the passage, they have just given one line. Sardars are native Indians. After that, did they move out? Did they not move out? It's not written. What will I say? So this is what is important. Don't extend your imagination. Remain within the boundary of the passage. You will never get any true, false, not given, incorrect. And there are some more techniques about it, which we will discuss in the next class, where we will take some specific examples. Okay. How to read fast? How can you increase your speed? If you've gone through the videos, probably I would have spoken about how to increase your speed also. So let us try to understand where the time is wasted. The time is wasted in understanding the passage. Please don't read the passage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the main area of problem.
So don't try to. Understanding the passage is not the prerequisite to answer many questions. I would say at least 80% of the answers, 80% of the questions can be answered by just reading 2-3 lines. Now, this is a little tricky thing to say, you would be able to develop speed only after driving your car for 50 kilometers. Does that make sense? You cannot drive your car fast on the first day. So if you are driving your car for the first day, what would be your goal? To drive fast or to drive safely?
To drive safely.
So just have this goal in your mind. Drive safely, drive safely, drive safely, drive safely every day. 30th day, you will automatically become fast. What we do is we sometimes misplace our goals. When it is time for precision, we focus on speed. So we cannot become fast. We cannot become precise also in that with that goal. So first precision, then speed. So when you are doing reading comprehension, just look for precision and just look for techniques. Initially, for at least once before you do at least 20 passages, you should not look at watch, because you are understanding the car. When you are understanding the car, you are actually training your own system. When the system gets installed, when you install a new operating system, do you want it to be installed very fast? I mean, would it install very fast? But once an operating system is installed, you have installed Windows 10 on your machine, all other programs will run very fast, isn't it? It's like this. You're training your own operating system during the initial days. So after doing 10-20 passages using the right techniques, I have seen 90% of the people will get automatically become fast. But initially, You have to go with the goal of precision. Having said that, how to develop speed now? So one thing which I'm trying to say is speed is a long-term goal. It's not an immediate goal. You have to have patience to develop speed in anything. Number one. Number two, for developing speed also, there are some techniques. I would like to talk about one. Take any 3 tests, do them 3 times. You will automatically become fast in the 4th test. The mistake we do is we do one test, then we do second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. We keep on doing new tests every day. My request to you is take any, in fact, start with 2. Take any 2 full tests, do them 2-3 times. Do them as if you are doing it for the first time. When you do it again and again, you'll get to see, oh, this could have been faster way of getting this answer. And that's where you develop an insight about speed. Let's say you are learning a car. What is the better way to learn about learning a car for the first time, learning driving? Go to the same road in the same car for 4 days. Don't change the road, don't change the car. Same car, same road, 2-3 days, again go, come back, go, come back, go, come back. Your system gets trained about the nature of the car. Once you understand the nature of the car, even when the road changes, you know the nature of the car and you drive very nicely on that road also. Does that happen or not? How many of you drive cars? Most of you, many of you, or whatever, right? Or whatever vehicle you drive. Initially, your trainer, let's say you learned bike or car, you used to go to the same road, come back, same road, come back, same road, come back. Why? Why not different road, different bike? One day Maruti 800, second day Santro, third day Mercedes. Take different cars, no? You want to learn cars? Take different cars. Let's say you have got, for example, Baleno at your place, for an example. And let's say your driver comes with this Honda, whatever, Honda City. And you learn Honda City very nicely. You know everything about Honda City, right? But you have got Baleno at your home. You drive Honda City like a pro. Would you be able to drive a Baleno if it is given to you for the first time? Yes or no? Tell me. You are a pro at Honda City. You have never driven a Baleno, but today you are given an opportunity to drive a Baleno. Would you be able to drive it? Yes or no? Write it down.
Yes.
Do you get the idea? Neha Khanna is saying no. Neha, why? Would a Baleno be so different from a Honda City that you would not be able to drive it? Tell me.
But not as efficient as I would have been driving Baleno, sir.
I don't think so. Do you
The
drive any
Honda
car?
City. Yes.
Do
No.
you drive any car?
No.
Okay, let's talk to someone who drives a car. Somebody, is there anyone who drives a Honda City? Any car for that matter, Maruti, whatever car. If a new car is given to that guy, he drives it seamlessly. You give me any car, I'll drive it. You know, it might take 2-3 minutes here and there, but then I would drive it like that because the basic system remains the same. First gear, second gear, third gear, red light, day light, woe light, clutch, gear, ting tong, ping pong. Things are all same, isn't it? Except that if I am driving a geared car and you give me a gearless automatic car, it would take 5 minutes to me to understand its functionality. I'll drive that also. The problem is every day we change the road, we change the car, and we say that we want to become efficient. How will it be? How will it happen? So when you are doing reading, take 2-3 passages, become super in those 3-4 passages, whatever you take. It should be like the back of your hand. It should be like a part of your system. You should know the answers to those 20, 30, 40 questions or whatever. Like if you take 2 tests, you know 80 questions. If you take 3 tests, you know 120 questions. You should be a guru of those 120 questions. When you know how to derive those 120 questions, you would be able to do any question of that sort. How many of you studied maths in 10th? Silly question, right? But when you practiced maths, the type of exam that you got, the questions that you got in exam were entirely different from what you studied in your book, right? But they were based on the same formula. Yes or no?
Yes.
So whatever sums you do prepares you on those formulas. Now, whatever question comes, are you not able to apply the same formula in a different problem or in a different context altogether? The question may be different, but the principles of percentage or trigonometry or Pythagoras theorem or whatever remains the same. Yes or no? Did you have to practice every question which comes in the exam to score good marks in your maths? No, you had some standard exercises. You did those exercises 3-4 times. You developed a system and a skill, or if I have to call it as intuition, I'll call it as intuition. You trained your intuition to such a level that it became a habit. It became so easy for you to do any question of that nature. And you have all cleared 10th, right? With whatever marks. Can't you apply the same thing in reading? Take some 5 passages. See, this is the problem. We don't know the right way. That's why we struggle with it. How to develop speed? We keep on doing new passages. This time it may be faster. This time it may be faster. First, take one passage and see how can you do that passage fast. Because once you are able to do one particular passage fast, even after doing third attempt, you would derive a system that I don't have to read these lines. For this question, this much was enough. So you would become very precise. So next time when you do the new passage, you would be able to do it fast, isn't it? Now let's come to those questions related to heading, related to those how to find the heading, how to struggle those with get confused with MCQ and headings also. Same thing. Just forget about the types of questions. It's not other type of questions. It's about your reading style. Why you are going wrong is because you have not learned from your previous tests. So go back to your previous tests, just do them once again and see to it that whatever heading questions you did, are you very clear about them? Don't change your car, don't change your road. First, master one particular car on one particular road. If you can take a U-turn on one road, you can take U-turn on any road. Isn't it? So first standardize, then optimize. We don't standardize and we try to optimize. What is optimizing? And what is standardizing? Standardizing is knowing the right method. Optimizing is making it fast. So don't make it fast until unless you know the right method. How will you know the right method? By going through the same road using the same car. Isn't it? Does that make sense? So all these questions, it's not MCQs which are difficult. It's not headings which are difficult. It's that you always change the context. Okay, let's come to listening. What is the problem? Anyone facing problems in listening? Now you would be telling me solutions now. If I'm struggling with listening, what would you suggest me? How
Sir,
to improve your listening?
before we move on to listening, I have a question about reading.
Yes, please go ahead.
So what happens with me is that when I check the answers post the test, I am fully convinced with the answers. So I never find any difference of thought when I check the answers. But it is just that while taking the answer, I miss. So is it because of the pressure or maybe time management? So what
Yes.
goes wrong there?
Yes. You are trying to optimize before standardizing it. The very
Okay.
fact that you are able to relate to the answer given at the back tells that you already knew that answer. That skill was there. You knew how to find the right answer. But you were in such a hurry, or the pressure of performance was so high that you never wanted to fail. And you haven't had enough practice of standardizing your methods. You still don't know what is the right way to approach a test. I'm sorry if I'm sounding very direct, but this is what I can read from what symptoms you are presenting to me.
Right, right, right. So I'll try that method, sir. That seems to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'll take one test 3 times and I'll
Yes.
see if there is any difference.
Yes. Yes. Do the same thing with listening. There's no difference in listening and reading. The only difference is one thing is spoken and you are supposed to get the idea very quickly. You don't get to listen to it twice. In reading, at least you can go back to that line and read it once again. In listening, you have to have very strong reflexes because the spoken text is spoken just once. And sometimes they use synonyms. But you have to understand the system first. You have to understand how this whole test is structured. That is why for listening also in next, if you want fast results, then first standardized. So for next 3 days, take any 2 tests and do them multiple times and see to it that you score 40 on 40 in all those tests whenever you do this role play of doing the second time, third time. See, by the time you go to the second time or third time, you would remember answers, right? Now, when
Yes, the same thing I wanted to ask you, because what happens is when we analyze our answers and we try to what happens is we try to understand our mistakes. So next time when we are attempting the same test, we'll memorize the answers comes to the mind on their own that "Oh, no, the answer for this question is this."
Tanya, then you will have a lot of fun. When you remember the answers, you will have a lot of fun with the test. You will play with the test. You will act as if you don't know. And you will read those lines as if you don't know the answer. Now, what will happen? You know what? When you look at something with an intent of not understanding it, you understand it more. This sounds funny, but this is true. You will remember tomorrow, I was wearing this t shirt. This is how I looked like. You will forget 90% of the things which I spoke because you are not paying attention to my t shirt and my hairstyle. You will remember it. So when
Okay.
you do not pay attention to the passage, you will remember it more. When you remember it more, you would be able to apply this knowledge in the next passage, that I have to ignore these sections. These things really do not make sense.
Okay.
So do it. This is funny and this is very much, very scientifically proven thing, So there is a lot of sense in doing the same test again because it's not about getting the right answer. It's about knowing which particular sections of the passage are useless.
Okay.
And when you know that half the passage was useless, your subconscious will become very cautious about the useful parts. It will know how to not understand the things which are not worth understanding.
Right, we tend to skip those parts actually when going through them again.
Yeah. So this is what will happen. And I want you to focus on that, oh, see this paragraph, this will happen only when you do it the second time.
Correct.
When you do the test the second or the third time, you would get to know, oh, these 5 lines on which I wasted my life are not having any answer. ये तो बकवास दे रखा है.
Correct.
So this you will realize only when you do the same test the second time. So this is funny. You try this. You do 3 tests like this, your 4th test would automatically be at a higher level. Same thing with listening. Don't think about maps, don't think about MCQs, don't think about anything else. The problem is you have not understand the structure of the test. When you do the same test the 3rd time, you will understand what is it. All strategies, your intuition itself will tell you what is the right way to get there. You will be able to pinpoint what this person was saying because you would not be bothered about the answer. You would already know the answer the 2nd or the 3rd time. So for listening and reading, do the same. Take any 3 tests, do them multiple times. Once you have developed the efficient, the right method to score 40 on 40 in 3 tests, take the 4th test. Automatically your score will jump up. Don't take multiple tests. Take same test multiple times. I say this, that if you have planned to take 20 tests before your exam, don't take 20 different tests. Take 5 tests 4 times. You will score more. Isn't it? This is what we plan, right? Like this we plan, right? Before the exam, I should take 20 tests so that I know all the things. Don't take 20 tests unless you have taken 5 tests 4 times. When you take 5 tests 4 times, you would know everything about the tests. So when you do the 6th test, you would be able to apply all the knowledge and all the structure, all the things that you learned. Your intuition will take over your intelligence after that. You won't know how am I able to get the right answer. अरे मेरे को right answer मिल जाता है. कैसे मिल जाता है? बस मिल जाता है. Have you ever seen people like this? They just strike the right answer. And you are thinking, इसको कैसे मिल गया? Have you seen this? So this will happen. Take my word. I've seen this happening. You will find that the passage will start speaking with you and you would know which questions are difficult. You would know, oh, this is something which I don't have to spend so much time because I know the definition of a difficult question and an easy question. So you will do it at the end. You will first do all the easy questions. So even if you get 37 out of 40 correct, would you be happy? Is it a good score? 37, 38 out of 40. It is still 8, 8.5, right? So even if you don't get 2, 3 questions, how does it matter? But you don't know which question is difficult, which question is easy right now. Because you have taken so many tests, you haven't developed this insight as yet. By doing the same test multiple times, you would get to see, oh, this question is not spending so much time. It's not worth it. I should rather go to the next question and come back to it if the time permits. But right now, what happens? One question sucks all the time. So listening, reading, writing. What about speaking? So writing is the gateway to develop your speaking skills. What is the difference between writing and speaking? In writing also, you are supposed to express something in the written form. In speaking, you are supposed to express something in the spoken form. The same difference which is there in reading and listening is there in writing and speaking. In listening, you get to listen only once. So in speaking also, you get to speak only once. You're supposed to be spontaneous and your reflexes have to be fast. But how to train your reflexes? This is the question. How would you get good at speaking? Should you start speaking more in order to speak better? Well, it will help to a certain extent if you speak more, of course. But then, is it a good idea to speak more? Quality speaking, yes, practice. Speaking is an output, right? When you speak something, you express something, isn't it? You express something if you know. So in order to speak, you should know what to speak, right? Speaking won't help. In order to be a good speaker, should you speak more? Or you should read more and you should write more? So if you read, my opinion, you should read more and write more. you will automatically become a good speaker, because you would have so many ideas that you would not be scared of losing out of ideas, and you would be able to filter it quickly. You would know what to speak and what to ignore. See, why do people don't speak? What is the problem with speaking? A, they lack ideas. They don't know what to speak. What is hesitation? Why is there a hesitation? What is the root cause? See, hesitation is a symptom. Why do people hesitate? Why would I hesitate about something when I'm not sure? And of course, it's a psychological thing, it's a very deep thing also. But one thing which makes me hesitant is I think you might already know it. I think I would not be able to give anything new to you. That's why I become hesitant, right? Or maybe I'm not aware of that particular topic at all. Two reasons. One, I think you know more than me. And second reason, I don't know anything about it. These are the two reasons which make us hesitant. Yes or no? Why is Modi able to speak so much?
Oh,
Let's not go into that tangent altogether. But then fine.
one reason would be we will be searching for strong backups while writing or speaking.
Yeah, that is
That
also
is
right. And that is again a myth that you are supposed to use some strong words. It's about speaking in a very simple way. As I told you at the beginning, flight of ideas. So, does it mean that by the time you want to give words, the ideas evaporate? Is that what you're trying to say? I
yeah,
don't
Rajiv.
understand.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Is it really required to use strong backups in case of
Not at
writing?
all. You're not supposed to write heavy words. Nobody would be able to speak if he's struggling to find the right word. See, you are not supposed to have a literary background where you would have read Shakespearean English and you would have done some research on poetic expressions and idiomatic writing and speaking. You're supposed to speak very day to day English.
Okay.
So please remove this barrier from your mind that you are supposed to speak in certain way. The way I'm speaking right now is good enough. You should make sense and you should be grammatically correct. That's it.
I have a question here, Rajiv.
I'm sorry?
I have a question here, Rajiv.
Please, please go
So
ahead.
can we repeat few words while we are talking or while
Yes,
we
of
are
course.
speaking during the test? It's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah. So there is one guy, this
Okay.
guy didn't know anything about speaking. And he went there to speaking test, scored 8.5 in his first attempt. He didn't know any criteria. He didn't know what to repeat, what not to repeat. It might be a fluke, but he scored 8.5. I know this guy. See, we try to make things very complicated
I
by
think when we
Please go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. So I want you to.
I
I
was just
want you
saying
to.
that
Yeah.
when we learn a lot or when we are cautious about something, we tend to do that in a very cautious manner. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think let's lessen the burden of getting the failures
Yeah.
and let's do it in a full-fledged manner.
Exactly. Exactly. It's very natural thing. I mean, would you find an Englishman who never repeats a word? I mean, what are we talking about? Isn't it a very superhuman thing to use different words in every sentence? I'm not a dictionary. I'm neither a recorder. I'm not a computer. I don't keep a record of words I speak. Sometimes I repeat words, but I should sound very natural, and I should make sense of whatever I'm speaking, isn't it? I should not be boring. That's just the point. I should not sound very, I would say, like mugged up stuff and just speaking like a machine or a robot. I should sound natural. Just do a little research today, all right? Go to Google and write down speaking evaluation criteria. Does it ever say you are not supposed to repeat words? It says lexical resources. And in lexical resources, it says you should have reasonable command and flexibility of choice in using words, which means that you should be having reasonably good vocabulary. But does it explicitly mention that you should not repeat words? So the way you are speaking right now, you're good enough. I can tell you this. You go tomorrow and take the IELTS test and you will score very good marks in speaking. Definitely 7+. So don't worry about it. Don't go for an overkill in speaking. Just match the criteria. Yeah, so I think that's what it is.
Sir, I have a question about long pauses that we take, and sometimes we use fillers like ums, sometimes so is that really counted? Because naturally, when we go for natural speaking, as you're saying, so we end up making these kinds of fillers. But
So
if
it
I
should not
go
be
for, let's
very
say, a robotic way, then I can avoid these.
Yeah, so you can use those fillers, but yes, with practice you can replace those fillers with silence. So if you are saying I know, it shows that you are nervous and you are a little restless to find a word. But if you consciously choose silence and pauses in your speaking, it becomes a style.
Okay.
So Nazia, I'll give you some content to read. Probably this would be specific to read to speaking itself. You can also listen to some very good podcasts, I would say. In order to develop your speaking, why don't you go for like BBC 6 minutes English? It's a very good podcast. Take one, and then if you just Google it, top class podcasts to develop English, you'll find 10, 15 of them. Take first 3 and use them, the ones you like. I like BBC English, so I can suggest you that. And I simply keep on listening to all different stuff. Like for, I would say I spend at least like 1.5 hours every day listening to good English. So you can choose anything which you like. The purpose is that you remain in that zone of listening and your subconscious gets trained all the time. Okay, so what is the roadmap for us for next 3 days? I want you to do one more test, and in case you want, you can do 2 tests. I'll be sending you the questions as well as answers to them. And as I told you, I don't want you to show your performance. I want you to show your preparation right now. Use all the material and follow the models. First, become a very good follower. Then you become a very good performer. Yeah, so use the answers and try to develop your own system, that in order to develop true false not given, this is the right way, and why a certain question is true false or not given. So just master those 2 tests which I'm going to send you in next 2 days. If you master them, you would have mastered the system. So it's not about doing many battles or doing many tests, it's about learning the right method to do 1 or 2 tests very, very correctly. So I think that's what is the goal for next 3 days for you. All right. So any other questions you have, just post them in the group. I will not take long time here. I hope this was useful to you. And I'm going to send you the model answers of essays as well. And I'm going to send you the 2 test papers in next couple of hours, or maybe immediately, whatever. But then I'll send it right as early as possible. In fact, model letters also. And if I don't just send me there is a structure, and I'll send it all the things in one go. So you'll get all of them there. And your task is to do 2 full tests. And it's not test, as I told you in the in the welcome video. It's not about a test, it's preparation. It's called as test, but the purpose is to make you aware of the whole structure. Once you know the structure, then you can optimize it, you can develop it, and you can make it better. So that's it. And thank you so much for joining, and keep preparing. Even if you commit some mistakes, those mistakes will turn into milestones in some time. Thank you so much. All the best to you.